A very good morning, my dear Silent Rose family. Today I wanted to share with you of a incident that happened in my own personal life. This incident has a lot to do with how it all began, my relationship with God. In my undergrad years, my life was a little different back then. I would say I had a very lukewarm relationship with God. I used to think that God is somebody who just turns up during prayer time and then has nothing to do with my life after that. That's the kind of relationship I had with Him. And in my undergrad years, especially, I felt very lost. I didn't know what I was doing. As I went through my 4 years of engineering, I used to feel like I had no identity. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. All in all, I just felt very lost. I felt like I did not know me. I had nowhere to go to, no one to be with. I just felt very confused in those years. And eventually, the end of the 4 years rolled around, and all of my friends knew what they wanted to do next. I had no idea what I wanted to do. The only thing I knew was I did not want to be stuck in an engineering job, but neither did I want to go to IT. These are two very respectable fields, absolutely no question about that. But I just never felt my identity in either of these fields. And so there I sat at the end of my 4 years. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and all my friends were moving on with their life. I thought I had hit rock bottom. I was in a phase of life where I felt like I had no control over my life, and neither was I taking any control of my life. I just felt very aimless altogether. One Sunday, when I went to my parish church, as I was sitting there for Sunday Mass, I saw the afternoon choir singing, and their music greatly stirred my soul. And something, a deep inner voice, told me, "Why don't you go and sing with them?" As amazing and lovely as that idea seemed, there were so many questions in my mind. I said, why would they take me in? They might just tell me they don't have any place for me anyways. And I felt there was a negative voice telling me that I am not worth anything and that I'm just going to be turned away from this beautiful thing. But see, my dear friends, looking back at it now, that's the kind of lie that the devil speaks. And this was an eye-opener, because that's when I realized God always speaks in clarity, in a gentle way, in a loving way, while the devil speaks in a dismissive and isolating way, in a very hurtful way. Where I usually would have listened and believed to the negative voice, that one day I chose to listen to the calm inner voice that spoke to me. And boy, am I so glad I did that, because when I said yes to God's gentle guiding voice, it opened up for me a beautiful, beautiful friendship. So many wonderful friends in Christ who helped me learn more about Jesus, but even more importantly, who taught me that it was not I who loved Jesus, it was Jesus who first loved me. And my dear friends, that's such an important lesson for all of us to remember. We were not the ones who chose Jesus, Jesus chose us. But still there was a little ache inside my heart. As wonderful as these friendships around me were, I still had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And that's when, in that phase, God taught me that I'm not alone in that journey. Maybe I simply needed to ask God what He wanted me to do for Him, because He was more than ready to walk the journey with me. While I was close to giving up on myself, God had definitely not given up on me. And that is when, one day, as I was praying with a friend, a verse came to me, which was Isaiah chapter 54, verse 4, which went like this: Do not fear, you shall not be put to shame. Do not be discouraged, you shall not be discouraged. For the shame of your youth you shall forget, the reproach of your widowhood no longer remember. At the time when I read this passage, I used to think, why is God talking to me about widowhood? I'm not married. Why widowhood? But so many years later, I now see why. Because that reading, Isaiah chapter 54 verse 4, comes from a time when Israel was in trouble. Israel had moved away from God's judgment and His wise counsel. But now God was saying that Israel is going to be redeemed, that God is always by Israel's side. And so when God spoke of widowhood, God was telling Israel that Israel was no more a widow, because God was coming for her to be her husband. And so that verse was God's way of telling me that He had not forgotten about me, that He was really, really going to be there to love me, to care for me, to cherish me. And it is the same with each of y'all, my dear friends. You might feel that you are very unworthy and sinful and undeserving of God's love. But God is telling you that His mercy does not work that way. God's love is such that it comes to us even when we don't deserve it. That's how merciful He is. All He wants you to do is to let Him in. Have a wonderful day, dear friends. God bless.